What's it like when people from mobbed-up families divorce each other? Popular divorce attorney James Sexton has had some experience handling these types of cases. In a recent Soft White Belly interview, he describes a divorce which he says is emblematic of what it's like to do a mafia divorce.
I had one where it was mob family. So I had the daughter is my client. And she comes in and mom is with her mom, and dad. And dad is clearly the guy who's mobbed up. And dad doesn't have a word to say. He just sits in the chair like this. He's just listening. It's just this Italian, heavy-set, older guy. And his daughter's telling the whole thing. And I'm going through like the list of assets. And I see that they own a restaurant. She owns a restaurant. And so I say, you know, just a quick question. I was like, I noticed that the restaurant is in your name, the daughter's name. And he goes, oh yeah, I don't have anything to do with the restaurant though. It's just in my name. And I'm like, well, I'm sorry, you know, I get paid to be paranoid. Why is it in your name? And she says, well, it couldn't be in my father's name or my brother's name because we couldn't get a liquor license because they have felonies. And I was like, okay, but you know, it could create a problem because it's in your name. It was acquired during the marriage. And, you know, I would have some concern that he might try to argue that is, you know. And the father, for the first time in this like hour meeting, goes, yeah, he's not gonna do that. So I went, okay, well that's, you know, it's good to hear, but I just wanna make sure that, you know, like, are we certain? Because, you know, this is something we might wanna get ahead of and figure out. And he goes, yeah, no, he's not gonna make a claim for the restaurant. And I said, well, you know, I'm sorry, like I get paid to be paranoid, but you know, how do we know for sure that he's not gonna make a claim to the restaurant? And the guy just stone-faced just goes, because if he tries to do anything with that restaurant, they're gonna find him at the bottom of the Hudson River with a $5 bill in his mouth. And I went, okay, so he's not gonna make a claim for the restaurant, and let's move on. And it was emblematic of what mob divorces are like. Well, it's like I said, the doctrine of mutually assured destruction. Like, he doesn't wanna mess with her too much. She's the mother of his kids. There's a certain sense of, okay, you don't do that. She's a civilian to some degree. And also, like, she could jam him up, you know? She knows a little bit about where things are and what's going on. And then meanwhile, she doesn't want to really jam him up because she knows that could be a very dangerous thing to do. So it's a very interesting dynamic. And in New York, I mean, you know, we bump into those kinds of characters.
So there you have it, mutually assured destruction. Neither party wants problems with the other because so many things can go extremely wrong if anyone gets out of line. Regarding the death threat from the mafioso father, there's a perverse type of honor behind it. While Sexton, the attorney, was worried about what's written and stated explicitly in the legal civilian world, the mafioso made an appeal to what's not written and what was understood implicitly in the criminal world. People who are truly a part of that world live by a different set of rules. I presume that the asset in question, the restaurant, was untouched in the divorce and both parties went their separate ways with two mutual understandings. One understanding was in the underworld of criminal conduct, i.e. you cannot do certain things or touch certain assets without severe penalty, and the other understanding was in the so-called regular world of civilian laws in which some things can be openly disputed and codified by lawyers. What do you think? The topic of mafia matrimony is something I'll revisit in future videos on this channel. As always, thanks for listening.